easy talk with the range. Well, I use it in the background. Okay.
In this setup, don't you?
Yeah, I got quite a bit. Hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Primetime. We got a great guest for you today. We got Joey Haney, and you've probably seen all over social media about the weather and this right here. So he's been a busy man today watching the weather, and he's going to come and talk a little bit about his experience here in Union County and talk a little bit about the school schedules, a little bit of everything. Of course, you can call in by the number you can see at the bottom. So we'll be right back. We're going to give you a little commercial of Union County School.
We are more than buildings, buses, and books, more than curriculum and tests, more than academics, athletics, and arts, more than mascots and sports teams. We are blessed to be a part of this community, grateful for the support you provide our schools, and humbled by the continued generosity to our students and staff. We are family, dreamers for what could be for our children, and proud to be a part of Union County. Thank you for all that you do for Union County Schools.
All right, we're back. Let me put a couple little things up here. And like I said, we have Joey Haney, Superintendent of Union County Schools, here with us. And there we go.
Yeah. All right.
Try to. Yeah.
Hey, Jerry. All right. Test 1, 2. Test.
All right. Yeah, it's going.
Okay. All right.
It's just want to make sure we got things switched over here now. Yeah, the weather. I tell you what, you probably make it as a weatherman much as you watch it.
Well, I'm going to leave that to Malachi, one of our own Union County products. I'll let Malachi handle that on Channel 7. So.
Right. I like when they did that zip trip here in
That
Union.
was fun.
It was.
It was.
And I think it was a little rainy then. A little
It
sprinkle popped
really
up.
was missing that morning. Yes.
Well, Joey, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your education. Now, you grew up. And did you grow up in Lockhart, or you just went to Lockhart School?
I went to Lockhart School K through 12. I actually grew up a couple miles outside of Lockhart, up Highway 9 toward Adamsburg.
Oh, okay, the big city of Adamsburg.
But yes, sir, out in the country.
Yeah. And so when you were growing up in Lockhart, who was one of your favorite teachers that you can remember?
Whew.
Probably a bunch of them, but that really had an impact on you.
I can remember a lot of favorite teachers because we had a solid education out of Lockhart, great foundation. I can name quite a few. In fact, in recent months, I got to see my kindergarten teacher, Miss Weber. Every once in a while, I see Miss Powell, my third grade teacher. And several teachers I had have passed on. I think about a Miss Odell. She was our reading teacher. Miss Daniel, Mr. Latham, Miss Phillips taught me elementary math, and that goes on into junior high and high school. I went into math education. One of the prominent math teachers that actually, and actually she has passed in recent years, Miss Clarity Puritan. Under her teaching of high school math, she actually has had several of her students become high school math teachers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That goes to tell you that she made math either fun for you or something that you really, or so that you can understand it.
Great inspiration, and I say several. Actually, to add to that, several of her former students are actually teaching math right here in Union County schools.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Now, when you graduated from high school, and what college did you go to right after that?
I went to USC Spartanburg in those days. Now upstate.
Right. Yeah, I think they've changed it to upstate now.
It's upstate.
Something like that, okay.
And I'll say initially, I thought with the love of numbers and, as you meet with your guidance counselor, you kind of look at some future careers and, you do look at, future salaries and opportunities. So I was thinking accounting at first.
Right.
So I actually started at USC Spartanburg in accounting, but there was, I guess you say, something special happening at the same time. Lockhart schools, I used to give them my college schedule, so they knew when we were out for breaks and such, so they would call on me to substitute teach.
Oh, okay.
So after about a semester of accounting, I realized this is not my right avenue as far as with numbers. I need to be teaching math. And actually the substitute teaching at Lockhart Schools was a big part of changing my track.
So that's what got you interested in going into teaching?
It did.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
What inspired you there, because a lot of people, and I see that they'll go one major and they might substitute a little bit, but then they say, no, we're going to go with this right here. What was it that just kind of got you saying, this is what I want?
Just really being able to help students, gain the knowledge of math and love math, like I do.
Right.
And that was a big piece. So, I don't know if I would have made that change as soon if I hadn't had the opportunity to substitute teach at Lockhart Schools at that time. That was just a big opportunity for me, and it was put in place for a reason, because I was at that time on the wrong track and in the wrong major.
Now, what classes did you substitute in? What was it? High school, or was it?
I actually, Jerry, did anything they called me for at first. Really, whatever. Elementary, at that time, junior high, high school. Later on, as math teachers were out for different trainings, professional development, and or even maternity leave, they'd call on me to come teach in their actual math classes. That was giving me even more experience.
Oh, now the very first time they called you or had you come substitute, was you nervous?
Of course. Of course. It's one thing sitting at a student desk, but when you flip to the other side and all of a sudden you're standing in front of those students, you're nervous.
Oh, I can imagine so.
Nervous.
Because you're thinking, they're going to tear me apart.
And you have to, even then, and just like you do now, you got a set of lesson plans you carry out for that teacher that you filling in for. But you got to keep those kids engaged, and you got to supervise them. And substitutes get tried. You're not the everyday teacher, so
right.
They go try you a little bit. So yeah, of course you're gonna be nervous.
I can imagine that. And nowadays even a little bit more difficult. It seems like the kids is a little bit different in one sense that you're facing.
It's kind of to me a unique story, because I don't know many that can say substitute teaching made a career decision for you to
right.
go into teaching. It doesn't do that for everybody.
Right.
But for me, it did.
So, now, where did you get your graduate degree from upstate completely, or?
I actually went on and finished my master's in administration through University of South Carolina, and later went on to finish my specialist degree also through USC.
Oh, okay. So that your specialist degree some people might not realize that that's a couple more years. Is that like a couple more years?
It's it's a whole entire program above your master's, and USC had a program and still does. It's aligned with the State Department of Education. So when you finish your specialist degree, you automatically add superintendent certification to your certificate.
Oh, okay, so you spend a lot of time in the classroom yourself.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And now, does that someone that's wanting to get into the administrative part, would you? How would you encourage them to take that extra step or take these extra classes? Because you got like some that would say, "Wow, man, I just got out of school and I don't want to go back and do this." What are some of the advantages of them continuing their education?
I think one thing with administration is kind of like I was told many years ago when that administrator first sat down with me, actually at Whitmire High School when I was a teacher. Administration opens up a lot of avenues for you if you do want to advance. Of course, you can stay in the classroom your complete career. You know, you can get an advanced degree and decide to put that to more use or remain in the classroom. As you ask that, though, it's kind of at the same time it makes me think about something we're doing presently in our district called our GROW program. And this is for our staff members. We have some teachers, guidance counselors. We have about 15 staff members in our GROW program. We meet monthly, and this is for the ones who want to see if they want to be an administrator. Some are already in administrative programs in different colleges and universities. Some are trying to make that decision, do they want that next step? So we're trying to give them some experiences and opportunities through those monthly meetings. And this is something new we started this year.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's all like on-the-job training, because a lot of programs, a lot of schools doesn't give that opportunity or don't for someone to advance. They wanted to be those advancements. I know the company I work for, they give a training so many months that you do certain things to get into management, and to see if you would like it and see if you want to stay in it and different things there. So, because somebody might say, well, I want to be a principal, I want to be this right here, and again, that might change their mind. It might be something they think it's not going to be so easy.
That's right. So we started that this year. Like I said, we meet monthly. It's kind of like a course, I guess you could say. They'll get recertification credits toward their certificate with our school district. They'll complete a project that's relative to, you know, what administrators do in schools. And then we'll have kind of like a graduation at the end at one of our board meetings.
Wow. And
recognize these staff members. So it does two things. It kind of lets them see, do I want this next step? But it also lets us see as a district who has those interests in moving to assistant principal, and beyond. Because, you know, we have to continue to look at the future.
Right.
You know, you have people retiring and moving and so forth, and you need people to step up and fill those roles.
And it gives that person too, like you said, and gives you an opportunity and the board members an opportunity to look at that person and say, is that person, even though they have the book learned like that, or this person qualified as far as that individual to take on that role? Because a lot of people I've seen that's had great book smarts and stuff like that, but getting into that management position or into that administrative position doesn't have the either not personality, but doesn't have the personal qualifications to get into it.
Right.
And now, some of the experiences that you've had is in Lawrence. You were
Newberry County.
Newberry County. Okay.
In fact, 20 years of my career was at Whitmire, a little town.
Yeah.
Right next to Union County, and I appreciate everything Whitmire's done for me. It's a little small town like Lockhart.
Right.
It's probably another home to me. I appreciate my time in Whitmire. I was there as a high school math teacher, moved on to assistant principal. That was at what most people call the old Whitmire High School near the football, baseball stadium. And then in 2003, we formed a pre-K-12 campus and combined those grades on one big campus in separate buildings. And I continued there as assistant principal, and then finally became the principal of that community school, and served that role. And in fact, I'll always say Whitmire Community School was probably one of my best experiences, because when you serve a pre-K through 12 campus, you're learning all areas.
That's a big, wide spectrum.
It's wide. It really is. With students, staff, different levels of curriculum, testing. So great experience there. And then after being principal there, I moved on to assistant superintendent for operations and administration with the school district in Newberry County. So that was a total of 24 years.
Wow. Now, when you was principal of that school, that wide spectrum like that, did you have, let's say, a couple assistant principals, or?
I did, Jerry. I had one assistant principal that helped more with the elementary side, pre-K, 4-year-old kindergarten through 5th grade, and then one that helped with 6th through 12.
Wow, that's a big role there to play,
Yeah.
and to guide from the smallest child on up to the one's graduate.
That's right.
All right, we're going to be back in just a moment. We're going to have another little school commercial here, and come back and talk to you about some experiences, some things here in Union County.
Okay.
We are more than buildings, buses, and books, more than curriculum and tests, more than academics, athletics, and arts, more than mascots and sports teams. We are blessed to be a part of this community, grateful for the support you provide our schools, and humbled by the continued generosity to our students and staff. We are family, dreamers for what could be for our children, and proud to be a part of Union County. Thank you for all that you do for Union County Schools.
Come up. We got our new one out, so.
Okay, I'm back, and we're talking to Joey Haney, the superintendent of Union County Schools, and we just got a little bit about his background, a little bit of experience, even from his going to school at Lockhart to the 12 years he had there to on up to the upstate and Newberry County. And so we're going to now get into, I want to talk a little bit about the schedule. That
All right.
You presented a schedule, I think it was last school year.
Right.
And it's totally different what everyone was used to.
That's right.
I know. I've heard some positive comments. I've heard some negative, especially when you first started this right here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that schedule before we get into the next schedule that's coming up.
Jerry, it's a different way of thinking. We're used to what we call a traditional schedule,
Right.
and we, just like many other districts, have done a traditional schedule for probably 100+ years. So it was a different way of thinking. Now, Union County is not the first one to try this. Of course, other districts are doing it, and we actually visited other districts, talked to other districts to get some feedback there, along with feedback from community, our staff, and even students. One thing I do each year, in fact, I'll start this tour here soon, is I meet with every student council every school year. So that's from elementary up to high school. And so I'll do that again starting up soon, just to have that chance to sit down with students and hear from students, because to me their feedback is as or more important than even others, because this schedule's for the students.
They probably have some tough questions for you, don't they?
They do. and they brought some great ideas for us for this new schedule, so I got their feedback as well. But one thing we have to remember, the state requires us to label the calendar modified year-round calendar. It's just, that's a requirement. And many people see that phrase year-round, and they think, oh, we're going to school totally year-round, non-stop. Yeah, non-stop. And that's not true. It's still 180 days for students, just like it was years ago on that traditional calendar. Is it spread out a little bit more? Yes. And we have tried to make sure that we still have a good bulk of summer time that's available for the students and even staff, that they have time to enjoy summer. But what it does allow for is breaks throughout the school year, something that probably wasn't experienced on the traditional calendar.
Right. And I've heard great feedback after this past year about how wonderful they thought, and this is from some of the teachers and things, that how wonderful they thought that schedule was.
Yeah.
What when you're looking at this, what was the mindset about this schedule? What's something that from the old traditional that's been there? I've heard people probably say, "Well, we've been doing this for 120 years." But what was the mindset and the turning point of changing the schedule to this right here?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One is this schedule allows us to offer remediation time during the school year. Traditionally, let me say this: our teachers are always helping kids throughout the school year. But in a traditional calendar, teachers help the kids, and some struggle, some get behind. Then all of a sudden, you get towards summer, and you got some in what some people call summer school. We have reading camps, and we have what we call credit recovery, but some just want to call it summer school.
Right.
What this calendar allows is some remediation during the school year to hopefully offset some of the need for summer school. We'll probably still need a level of summer school at the end, but hopefully not as many kids will need to attend, because hopefully we're getting them caught up as we go through the schedule.
Yeah, and my thinking of the schedule, which I thought was great too, is that you're not losing what you've been taught, as far as so spread out so much over the summer like that. Because I know personally myself, going to school, if I didn't do some kind of study or something between the summertime like that, I go in like a deer in the headlight.
The summer slide, that's what we call it, the summer slide. And I even had students at elementary level, when I would meet with those student councils and get their feedback and start talking about this calendar. This was 2 years ago. They would even say it, they didn't call it summer slide, but they would speak on their terms, well, we forget some things and over the summer, and so I think this might help us some. So, but you do tend to forget if you don't use it.
Right. What is some of the feedback you got from the parents when you approached some of the parents about this new schedule?
We had a pretty high percentage of ones for it. We did have some against it, and we also had a pocket of parents, community people that really just didn't know enough about it. They had to try it. Hopefully, after experiencing this schedule to this point, a part of the year, that they have started to kind of come over to the positive side at seeing the benefits. We just heard different things, the breaks. I will say daycare was a big concern that came out. And our county has a major need for daycare services. We don't have a lot of daycare opportunities.
Right.
So we did hear that from the community.
And the expense of daycare also has probably had a big factor in it. But I know that some of the parents, probably after experiencing the schedule that you've had in place, I believe that you're going to see it, most of them's going to come over that side. So yeah, we like that schedule.
Right. We hear about sports and extracurricular activities and programs. Like when we had our fall break back in October, of course, if you had committed to football, volleyball, band, what have you, then you didn't necessarily get a fall break or a full break at that time. But back on the traditional schedule, those same teams started practices end of July, first part of August, and they were practicing 3 weeks before we started school.
Right.
And we just came off of a Christmas break, and if you talk to some of those basketball players and the wrestling team members, they'll probably tell you they've been practicing a lot and playing in tournaments and matches and so forth. And then you get to the spring, you got baseball, softball that, of course, plays during spring break. So, you know, I don't have the magic to make a calendar for that works for everybody's schedule. Right. But, you know, it's just when you make commitment to such programs, there's going to be times that school's out and, you know, you're still practicing or playing or what have you. But that happens in any schedule.
Right. And I start to say that was, even when I was going to school,
Yeah.
you had times that you had to get there way before anybody else. And it's almost, but you know, in those activities, the kids, they don't look at it as going back to school. They look at it going playing ball, getting ready to play.
That's right.
Oh, let me see what happened here. Hold a second. All right. Hold on a second. I think my camera, your camera went out. All right. Give me 1 second here. We'll be right back. We're going to play a little commercial here right quick, and we'll be right back. I've seen something that went out. Let me get Joey back on here. Yeah, the evidently, when you don't check a battery, guess what? It is going to surprise you. All right. The engineer comes out and says, good. She threw a hammer at me and said, hey, everything went blank. And we've seen that out here too. So anyway, we got the battery back in. Evidently, I forgot to change that one.
We're good to go. You knew exactly what to do, Jerry.
In a hurry. Well,
Yeah.
when you're live and doing things like this, it's kind of, you know, you got to think on your head and think real quick and not panic.
That's right. That's right.
It's kind of like you don't have to yourself. I know you never panicked. So it's talking about the schedules and how that. I know that when you first presented those, that even with the community, with kids like that, probably the kids were probably more positive than the grown-ups on the schedule.
We did hear a lot of positives, and let me say, gained several ideas from the students. And
Right.
I'll give you a couple examples. You know, our students in like high school, middle school take, you know, of course, high school credit courses. It's got a state end of course test tied to it, and some of those students mentioned, well, can we have special study group days to prepare for these tests on some of these remediation days? Another thing that came up and was SAT preparation camp that we have normally on Saturdays.
Uh-huh.
So some of the high school kids mentioned, well, can we have one of that on a remediation day rather than a Saturday? I said, well, of course, you know. So, you know, those kind of ideas, that's why you need to talk to students, because they can mention, that sounds simple to some of us, but to them that was very important and big and honestly good ideas. And we've actually taken those into consideration.
Well, that's kind of, because sometimes we get thinking inside the box, and sometimes we don't think outside of it.
Right.
And you get somebody fresh like that says, "Hey, we tried this," and say, "Oh, I didn't think about this."
Right.
That's great. Now you've got a new schedule that
Right.
you've implementing. Is this the next following school calendar?
We have, and let me go back. The first year modified, which we're on now. You know, one thing I really wanted to do for the community is get that final schedule out. We actually put it out there about a year and a half before we actually implemented it, so our board voted on it. And the same kind of this year, not that much out, but our board has already voted on the 24-25 schedule. So that's already on our school district website. So I encourage all of our parents to look at that calendar so you kind of know what next year looks like.
Right.
I think it's a key, whether we like the calendar or not, that we can at least get it out in a good, timely manner to where everyone can prepare for it.
Right. Yeah, matter of fact, I think I posted that.
Yes.
I took it off the site on mine. Now, many changes into this?
There are some changes. One thing that you will not see is many remediation opportunities as you do this year, and there's different reasons for that. One thing, when we go into the year 24, which we just started on the actual calendar year, but we have to keep in mind on those even numbered election years, we have to have an election day built into November.
Right.
So that's a difference that we have to keep in mind. So that's Tuesday, November the 5th. And another thing that we heard just from feedback is putting the designated parent-teacher conference days back into the calendar. I know teachers and parents talk throughout the year, but kind of before the pandemic, used to have designated days that on this day will be parent-teacher conference times. Right. And we do a late evening, usually on a Thursday evening, and then the next morning on Friday, to kind of accommodate all parents and their different shifts of working and so forth. So we put 2 of those back in next year. So, the thing is, we heard from the community, let's start August the 1st. That's the earliest they wanted to start. So we made some adjustments even to this year's calendar after that feedback. But then we kind of want to get out before June the 1st.
Right.
So, but then within those 2 days, there's a lot of constraints that comes to play. You got to have 9 weeks breaks, and that's when report cards come out, and you got to try to get 90 days in the first semester, and we try to end that first semester as we leave for our Christmas winter break. That way exams at the middle, the ones who take it at the middle level and the high school, of course, take those before Christmas. So, it's not as easy as some think. I've got a final draft, but I would have to say Eric Childers does a lot of work on our calendars.
Right.
We might have easily had 10 to 15 drafts of a calendar just to get down to the final for this year. Because you take all this input and there's just a lot of constraints.
Right. It's not like you just got, I got a bunch of days here, I just stick it here.
Yeah.
It didn't work that way, does it?
No, it does not. So, and some of those reasons I already mentioned, people already noticed, the break next year at Christmas time is a little shorter. Well, we could give everybody a very long Thanksgiving break and Christmas break, but you still gonna have to go 180 days.
Right.
And if you're not careful, you go deep into June, and you're gonna start cutting away that summertime.
Right.
So
either, regardless, you got 180 days. It's just how you're going to place it in there and spread things out.
And then you try to stay within that August 1st to end of May as much as you can, and that's just us trying to listen to our people, and then put everything in between.
Well, putting it on the calendar as far as teacher-parent work day or a day for them to come, that gives the parents time to plan for it.
That's right.
And do you have a lot of response for the parents to come to the parent-teacher day? I know sometimes parents even get slack, about coming.
Yeah.
And what are some things you're doing to encourage that?
Kind of the traditional way you see parents' participation at schools is very large and prominent at the elementary level, and it starts decreasing as you get to middle and toward high. Now, I don't say that's all on the parents' end. Sometimes as those kids get older, they don't want their parents to come to school,
right?
And check on their grades and their progress. So, we try to use a variety of communication tools, Facebook and robocalls, and I'm sure there's still some letters sent home, but That's just kind of traditional way you see parent participation. Now our schools try to tie as many events, you know, to these nights as they can too, to try to get more participation and encourage the parents to come. I think a lot of that is using a variety of communication tools.
Right.
Hopefully, you know, going back to the kind of the what used to happen, given the late Thursday evening, for example, and then the first part of the day on Friday morning is hopefully go accommodate a large number of parents with their work schedules. That's kind of why you do that.
Right. Would I know with media that we have nowadays and stuff, would say, for instance, if scheduling a time, maybe a parent said, look, I just can't make it on these days right here, schedule time, maybe they can FaceTime that particular parent to discuss, and that way they're really, even though they're not sitting in front of them, they still see one another. And
yeah, well, you know, that's just it. The technology we have these days, you could easily schedule some FaceTime, some, I'm sure, schedule phone calls.
Right. To
where they call in, or parent calls them at a certain time. You know, whatever method we can use to keep teachers and parents, you know, in touch with each other, we'll use it.
Okay. Well, I think the schedule, like I said, I've heard nothing but positive, because it's something different.
It is, yeah.
And it's something they said, wow, we're on this break right here. We don't have to go back to here, and it kind of gives them a break, a mental break in between.
We learned that during the pandemic, that students and teachers, they needed that refresher time. You know, you get burnout.
Right.
And that's another thing this is offered is kind of that refresher time. I've heard of a bunch of families taking advantage of the last fall break we had in October. And we heard this from other districts, and I hope it's true for ours, that, you know, the real facts are that a lot of families cannot afford that nice vacation in the months of June and July.
Right.
Because we know what those rates look like at Myrtle Beach and the mountains and so forth. But maybe in October they can take that same trip and afford it better as a family. So for what I saw and I've heard, it seems we've had more families taking those opportunities and advantage of that, and families need family time.
Right. And I know that some of the resorts and things like that is taking advantage of that part too, because a lot of times I know, even in the summertime, I don't want to go to the beach, it's too hot.
That's right.
And it's almost miserable to go there.
That's right.
And family time is important. I think it encourages the child to want to learn more.
That's right.
And things. Let's talk about, let's get through the schedule right here. Okay. What is the statistics on the dropout rate in Union County? I know it used to be kind of high. What are some things that maybe the board and yourself are doing to try to prevent a dropout rate?
One thing I've been doing since I'm here, I have to set goals each year as a superintendent, and those are approved by the board, and then, you know, I have a follow-up time. So I presented goals this past August, and when we turn around to next August, I'll present evidence on my progress toward those goals. And one I've kept in my goals since my first year, and I'll continue to keep there, is graduation rate, which of course helps offset dropout rate, because those kids are graduating, then they're not, of course, dropping out. We actually, I'd set a goal of 80% my first year, and I remember that night, I said it several years ago, my high school principal sitting in that board meeting, and, you know, and it's like with big eyes, like, we're going to make this, and even the board said, you setting some high goals there on several areas. And I think that's okay to set high goals, because they don't always mean you must achieve in a short term. Sometimes you set goals that you achieve long term. And I set that goal back in 2020 of 80% graduation rate. We made it this past year.
Wow.
We made it. We actually hit 80.3. which made me increase it a little bit more from my new goal to 85%. But Union County hasn't been at 80% in several years.
Wow.
So we achieved that. And the more we can graduate students, the more we offset the dropout rate. One thing we're doing, and I credit the high school, that administration and guidance and those teachers, is they also set goals. They follow my goals, but they set their own goals, having ninth graders earn so many credits as a ninth grader. And they really push for that, because what happens with dropout, the more kids get behind, they start getting discouraged, losing interest, and it's just like English and math. If you fail at English or math, it's going to start pushing you back instead of going forward. So they also set goals and offer many levels of encouragement from that administration guidance down to the teachers to encourage these kids. Let's get this many credits this year, because technically, if you think of high school as 4 years, and we're on a 4x4 block, so you really can get 8 credits a year, which means 32. So that's way above the high school requirement. So you already got some room for flexibility in there. But I think them setting those goals early for those kids and help pushing those kids to earn credits early, that way you're not going to the next class and you're, or next grade level, and you so many credits behind or so forth. And just making kids aware of opportunities. That's one thing we're really pushing this year is, and I'm going to talk about workforce, because a lot of our population will go probably directly into workforce, and that's fine. Because we need skills, trained people. We have not just Union County, probably this whole nation, this state has a lack of skills trained people.
Right, and it's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Yes.
So one thing we're pushing this year is putting those opportunities in front of these kids that, earn these credits. You have these jobs locally. We have some great industry opportunities locally, and we want to make these kids aware of those opportunities. It doesn't mean you have to get a 4-year degree to be successful.
Right. But even with that, even in some of the industries and things like that, they still look at that high school diploma.
They do. They do.
It's not like they don't want someone to, if they come out and don't have
That's
one,
right.
I've seen them turn them down,
Yeah.
And I like what you said, you're starting with them young.
Right.
In the 9th grade. And that's where you really got to start building them. I know they have opportunities, and you can elaborate on this also, that where they can get all them credits at the beginning, that they can take some college credits.
Right. The more you get ahead, the more doors you open up down the road for that flexibility of your schedule, where you can take the dual enrollment courses with USC Union, or welding and things with SCC. So.
Right. So you get to learn some of the skills and things even before they graduate, but the more credits they get beforehand, they have more time to get these extra things here.
And we have students graduating from our district with sometimes 35, 40 plus hours of college credit.
Right. Yeah, my granddaughter's one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
and they're entering college, as sophomore plus sometimes.
Right. Almost like the movie with Sheldon and it.
Yeah.
Right.
And as parents, when you think it's great for the kid because they're on an early track to success, but for a parent, that's a lot of money that didn't come out of your pocket.
Right. Well, and scholarships. They can look at scholarships and look at say wow, you've got this many credits here, apt to get the scholarship. Now, is scholarships offered to a lot of when they come out of high school, do some of the guidance counselors or some of the counselors go in and sit down with the students, say he's getting ready to graduate, to give them some opportunities?
They do. There's a number of scholarships. In fact, I encourage, I know a lot of our parents, senior parents, see this every year, but our awards day at the end of the year at the high school is, you see this taking place because all those scholarships are being recognized. You know, a lot of the people who are the support of those scholarships attend that awards day to present actually to our students. But yes, a lot of those are funneled through our guidance, and then they make the students aware of those opportunities. Sometimes, you know, it's going to take a little paperwork. You know, it might take writing an essay or doing an application, and sometimes I know for students that might look a little cumbersome and time consuming, but it's just a part of life that put that time into it, because every little bit of money is going to count toward that big price to go on to school.
Right, and I think like you're saying with the kids in the 9th grade coming up, you're telling them and teaching them to you know, get those credits, you know, to build that gold up. Do you also work with the parents a little bit, letting them know that those scholarships, you know, this is going to help you a lot here, even though they're in the 9th grade right now, this is going to be coming up. Have you ever thought, you know, some parents might not even think that, well, my child might even go to college. Because it takes a lot of home. Teachers can't do it all, and the school can't do it all.
It does.
It's going to take the parents and their education and being educated of what opportunities there for their child.
Yeah, they put a lot of information out, especially from that guidance department. So I encourage our parents, you know, please follow their Facebook page. If you're not getting information, call your child's guidance counselor and say, how can I get it? Why am I not getting it? Because we want you to have that information so you're aware of those opportunities.
And it's a two-way street. It has to work from home. It has to work from the school. You got to work together if you want the best for your child's education.
In fact, our guidance department at high school has been given time during the week, staying after school and just making themselves available for our students to fill out college applications, know about scholarships, you know, test prep, job applications, resumes.
Right.
Because that's the key. You know, we got kids who's going to go the 4-year college route. Some are going to go 2 years. Some are going to go straight workforce. And we got to put those opportunities in front of all those kids.
Right. They got to, even if they go to the workforce, learn how to fill out a resume. What you're going to put on that resume, how's it going to look? Because you can write a resume and it can be horrible.
Yes.
And that'll be a difference if you get the job or not.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back after this message right here. We'll come back and talk about what a lot of people are concerned of, school safety, okay?
Okay. All right.
We are more than buildings, buses, and books, more than curriculum and tests, more than academics, athletics, and arts, more than mascots and sports teams. We are blessed to be a part of this community, grateful for the support you provide our schools, and humbled by the continued generosity to our students and staff. We are family, dreamers for what could be for our children, and proud to be a part of Union County. Thank you for all that you do for Union County Schools.
All right, we're back. With the way the world is, and we hear about schools and things happening at schools and stuff like that, what are some of the safety protocols that the school has in place to kind of help deter any type of things happening in school?
We've added several features over the past few years, Jerry. You know, one thing we want to make sure is that our facilities, there's a single point of entry, which means, you know, everyone must report to this single entry point, and most of our people who come to our schools think of it as a buzzer system. You hit the buzzer button outside, and receptionists inside will, you know, check to see who you are and kind of what business you need at the school and so forth. So, which means that our doors stay locked throughout the day. And that's where we are today. You know, we've talked about me attending Lockhart K through 12, and those days, probably every door was unlocked. Visitors could come in any door. I didn't even know what a school resource officer was during my time of being a student. But we now have them, and we have them in every school, and we're fortunate. We're used to seeing a SRO in every school. There's some districts that's not a common plan for them. They don't have a SRO in every school, so that's another feature that we have. So single point of entry. And, you know, I just want to remind people when receptionists ask you, you know, who you are and how can I help you, we're trying to find out more of how we can help you and meet your need, but also we're trying to keep people safe at the same time.
Yeah, because it's, don't get angry, so, oh, y'all know me, because it's, you know, you might know that receptionist, but she got many parents and stuff, and people come in that office that she that does this, and showing ID, that's just proper etiquette.
It is, and that's another piece. It's called the Raptor system that we've, like I said, a lot of this has happened in the past 2 to 3 years. The Raptor system is where you present your ID and it scans it, and you know it does let us know if there's some background there that needs to concern us. Right,
and we know that sometimes families, mother and father, get a divorce, separated, stuff like that, and one got custody where the other doesn't. So you've got to have those things in place and know about, to get first thing, communication with it.
Right.
To how you're going to address that to keep that child safe.
That's right.
And the resource officers are really more than just guards. They're not just guards, because I've heard kids talk about, matter of fact, the neighbor down here, guys like that, couldn't wait when see the school. They want to make sure that same resource officer was there. And when they found out it was, well, he was just tickled to death, because they're familiar with that one face, and that person's going to protect them.
That's right. And you know, a key to an SRO, and it's the same key as for our teachers or any staff, is building relationships with students. And that's why you hear that from students. I can't wait to get back to school and to make sure I got my same SRO, because you know, we got SROs who truly, they build relationships with the kids, and we want the kids to be comfortable with them, to know that that person is there to protect me.
And with the SROs, they and doing that, they can tell if a child's distraught or something's going on that's not quite right, and that's part of their job.
And if you have, the more you have relationships, the more you gonna know as a teacher, a SRO, administrator, cafeteria bus driver, any role, something's not quite right with that child today. The more you know that, you're gonna know that.
And teachers, bless them, they're in front of that student the whole year, and they get relationship where they know if something is dropping, like the grades are dropping, there's something going on there. In high school, I know it's a lot of difficult there, because you know when you're teenagers and getting up in high school like that, you got all kind of emotions going on anyway.
Right.
But just being the awareness of it, and I know that we hear about. And I've been to the high school or another school here, and I've always had to ring that buzzer. I just couldn't just walk on in, even though they don't care if they know me or not. I've got to say who I am and what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's right. We've really enhanced our camera system for surveillance. That's been a major help to our district, and we have security cameras at every building, so that's a big help. Another piece that we've added this year, and I know there's probably different beliefs on both sides of this, is weapons detection systems.
Right.
And we added up more of those this year. We started some of that at our athletic events before, you know, with the wanding and so forth, people coming to our stadiums and so forth. Now we have also the weapons detection systems that we do random checks even in our schools.
Well, it's hate that we have to go to that now with, but you know, of course when I was going to school like that, you know, we drive with a car, vehicle, a truck there. We got a shotgun in the back of the window.
You just went hunting that morning.
And it's come in like that. But times changed.
It has.
That we have to. We have to spend all this extra in security just to make sure that we're going to keep your children safe.
We do. You know, you go to an event, just like we've added clear bag policy.
Right.
Yeah, that's another piece we've done. But you go to an event, college level concert. I mean, you will probably have clear bag policy. You go walk through a detection system, and I mean, we know what it looks like if you go to the airport.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
If you go to the courthouse, here in Union. I mean, but it's just measures that we have to take in the times we live in.
Right, and it's not nothing new, and I think we're getting more comfortable for that now.
I agree.
And so that's, one thing, switching off security there a little bit, that I like is that now that if say, for instance, the snow comes, years ago, you used to have to take a makeup day, you had to go through, and I said, oh no, it's another summer day knocked off. And now you have what they call
e-learning.
E-learning. And now, tell a little bit about e-learning right quick on that.
So e-learning has kind of taken away the use of makeup days. Now let me say, we're required to put makeup days in our calendar.
Right.
We get, I think it's 5 e-learning days a year. And so like tomorrow, that's an e-learning day. And what it allows us to do is, in this case tomorrow, keep our kids safe, keep them at home, and they log on to their computers or complete whatever assignments they've been previously given by the teachers, and we get counted for an actual school day and don't have to make it up.
Now this e-learning, did it kind of revolve out of the COVID era that we come out of, or was it before then that we started that?
It started before then on pilot type programs with districts. Mm-hmm. And you had to apply. When in fact my first year that we came, Union County was not an e-learning district at that time, and my technology director, I think at that time, had to reapply maybe for us to become an e-learning district. But along with that, we had to make sure our kids had devices that they could take home. And,
right.
When I came in 2020, Union County was already a 6 through 12 student with every student with a device district. And then of course with our federal funds we got from the pandemic, we added more devices where now it's elementary through high school. So we are an official e-learning district. So you got to kind of have the infrastructure to be able to do it. It was here before COVID. It's more prominent now since COVID. And in fact, I was watching WSPA before I came here, and there's a lot of e-learning days flashing across the bottom of the screen. So it's used a lot now, and it does, save you from missing a day and start cutting into your spring break or adding days on the end of the year, wherever you might have them designated.
Well, I know the federal government and state also has implemented to put in to make sure they had access to internet.
Right.
And that's been a big positive thing. I've heard even the grown-ups saying, I finally got cable here. I finally got this right here, where I don't have to go out somewhere and stand at McDonald's or something other.
That's right.
But it's getting more and more where they can access.
Yeah, and we know there's still going to be issues, power outages or no internet at certain houses. So we do have
batteries go out.
Batteries go out. So we have kind of like a buffer in there too, that if there's an issue at home and the student cannot get on internet, then they still got to have a window of time to turn in those assignments.
Oh, okay, That's good. Well, we're going to end it here in just a moment. Here, I just say, for instance, someone that's getting ready to is going in to college and they're thinking about teaching and becoming a teacher. What is some advice that you can give that person that their goal set in teaching?
You got to love and care for kids before you can teach kids. I truly believe in that piece. You can have all the knowledge. I'll take myself for example. I love math. I can love math, but before I could go teach math, I had to love and care for kids. And that, to me, that's got to be number one before your content knowledge. I will say that's a good plug. We have a recruitment fair coming up soon. It's actually Saturday, February the 3rd at Jonesville Elementary Middle School. and all my schools will be represented. So it's our time that we really invite everyone to come in out of these college programs, or even veterans who are in other districts that might want to consider coming to Union County Schools. And they can visit all of our schools, talk to principals. We'll do on-site interviews, contract offers. I'll be present, ready to sign contracts. So that's a good opportunity. So I wanted to kind of share that too. That's a good kind of plug in. But I think teaching is something. It's a calling.
Yes.
And I'll go back. You got to love and care for kids. If you don't like kids, you don't need to be in teaching. I mean,
No.
But because you're more than teaching kids. You're taking care of kids. Sometimes you're being parent, role model. You're doing a lot of other roles before sometimes you get to teach a kid.
Right. Well, Joey Haney, I really appreciate you coming in and talking with me and being on here. It's great information
Thank you.
that you provided. And tell them again where that job fair, the time and date where it's going to be at.
It's February the 3rd. That's a Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning to 12, Jonesville Elementary and Middle School in the gym. All schools and departments will be represented. So if you have any interest in joining Union County Schools, please come out and see us. We'd love to have you join our family and team.
Great. All right. Well, our time has run out, and we thank Joey for coming and enlightening us on a lot of things. And remember that job fair, I will have that flyer on my page and several other pages there, so you'll be able to not have any excuse. So next week, next Monday, we're going to have Scott Lewis and Curtis Eubanks here from Lewis's Funeral Home to talk about all these little things that you need to plan for a funeral. It probably won't be the happiest time, but it gives some good information. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and thank you for watching for this Prime Time with Jerry McKee. Have a great day.